Sarita, have you got a question for the panel?
Hey, thank you so much. Actually, I don't have a question, but I wanted to say earlier someone, and I wish I had seen who, but one of you guys recommended a journal, an oak manual journal. Who was that?
Samet.
Samet. Okay. So I looked it up, and I think that what you were speaking of was monk manual, not oak manual. I just wanted to put that out there because I looked up oak manual and I couldn't find it. So I ended up like searching, and I think it's monk manual, and I'm about to purchase it because I think it's really good. I'm a pen and paper kind of girl. So thank you so much for this recommendation.
Samet, are you there? No, maybe you stepped away from the room. Cool. Right, let's just move on to the. Sarita, if you stay up here on stage, and we'll try and reach Samet. Vimal, have you got a question for the panel?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I'm new to this group, so apologies if I'm doing anything out of turn. I'm looking to launch a new card game, both online and in the physical world. And I'm kind of doing this on my own. I need to do everything from raising investment to building the product and getting it out there. And it becomes very difficult to keep focused and keep doing it day in, day out. And I just wanted to ask you guys what advice or habits would you say that would be good for me to instill to make sure I reach the goal that I want to do?
I'll take this one. Just landed, so now I've got internet to speak. It's got Mario here. Who was speaking? Sorry, what was your name, sir?
It's Vimal Mario with the party hat on.
Yeah. Cool. Vimal, okay, so to be able to focus on anything, really, you have to make sure you're focusing on the right thing. So you said you need to do everything from, doing an online, offline, a card game to raise capital. Well, what are you focusing on right now?
At the moment, the main focus is putting together a comprehensive business plan, but I have to sort of do it in a way where if I'm let's say I was to send this business plan and the concept out to 10 investors, for example, I need to be able to explain the product or the new game, but without giving all the mechanics of the game away.
Why are you worried about giving? Then what?
Because if I give the mechanics of the game away to 10 people, any one of those 10 people could go and do what I want to do. Because they have the funds and the muscle power to be able to do that. So
I understand. Have you raised capital before, Vimal?
Not really, no.
Okay, cool. So I'll give you objective feedback. So I'm an investor. I haven't invested in many startups, but I know a lot of investors that have. I don't invest in startups personally. And I'll tell you one thing. If you hold anything back or if you get them to sign an NDA, they will not look at your project. Every investor I've spoken with and every pitch that I've been to, NDAs or taking, not giving them information is something they don't like at all. Why? Because they know that the ID itself, they get pitched the same ID so many times, maybe not identical to yours, but similar, that they don't want IDs. They've got more than enough IDs. Actually, investors have more IDs than anyone when I speak to them, and I love new IDs. The execution is what matters. So don't worry about them copying the ID. I've never seen it happen. Never seen it happen. It's a very low risk. So that's number one. I think it will work against you if you're going to hold back the mechanics. It will 100% work against you. So that's number one. Now, you're saying you're struggling with focus, though, but you need to do a business plan. Where is the struggle? I don't understand why. How are you struggling to focus?
Simply because, it's me, myself, and I, and there are lots of things to do. And so, yes, I can. I can do most of the things that I need to do with regards to putting the business plan together, even like marketing, but it's like, as I say, finding the focus to say, right, okay, this is what you should do first. And then after you've done that, then do this, then do that, then do, and then being focused in that, You know, like, so, because you know, I'm not going to lie, it gets hard. You know, there's days when you think, oh, I can't do this, you know, and it's like, so what habits can you, like, learn and sort of put into my life to sort of say, right, you're going to do this.
Okay, so I'll give you a habit or a mindset, for lack of a better term, that's not only for this business plan, because this business plan, you're going to get through it. It's the easiest part right now of what you're doing. It's a mindset as you build your business. And I think everyone in the audience will benefit from this. I've been using this analogy recently. Look at your business, look at your entire journey as a puzzle. Now, why a puzzle? Because you have to focus on every piece by piece, and you have to do it in the right order. Now, you can't sit there focusing on what's going to happen in 5 years' time when you're sitting looking at the concept itself. First, you have to look at the market. You have to look at competitors, look at the timing of your project. Why would it work? What makes it different? Why would customers pay for the product? So they're the basics before looking at how you're going to scale it to $1 million. I'm not saying you're looking at how to scale it to $1 million, but I'm just giving you the mindset of focusing piece by piece. So when you're building your business, and past the business plan, because the business plan is step one. And maybe my second question is, do you really need to raise money? But that's a discussion we can have later on, because I don't want to take up too much time. But it's a really important question you got to ask yourself. But going back to the puzzle analogy, so everyone could benefit from this. Past the business plan and throughout the business plan, you have to focus on each piece of the puzzle, and it has to be in the right order. That's the most important part. You can't look at a piece of the puzzle on the other side of the puzzle board when you're still in the left corner. So you find the right piece, you focus on it, put it in the right place. Then you look for the next piece that's the right one in the right place at the right time, and then you focus on that piece. What do I mean? Focus right now on the business plan. Focus on the first step of the business plan, validating the idea, looking at the market, focusing on your unique selling point, finding the right price. These are the basics. And there's so many guides online to build a business plan. And actually, it's not that important, the business plan. Don't make it look too traditional, and don't give it too much importance. Nick might disagree with me, and I don't know if Nick is here, Nick Anderson, but I wouldn't give it too much importance. It's getting less important. I would focus more on validating the idea even more. Like, if you do it, I'll tell you what's better than a landing page, than a business plan. If you go to an investor and say, hey, I made this landing page, that's what I would do. I made this landing page of the product, the concept. I've promoted it in these various Facebook groups, and there's ways you can promote in Facebook groups for free. Again, you can just DM me, I'll send you details because I don't want to take up too much time. Have people pre-order on your website. Now you might be like, Mario, I don't have the product, I can't take money. Just get people to register or freeze their money and refund it within hours, just anything. And then go to the investor and say, hey, I didn't spend any advertising. I sold 200 of these, or people registered their interest, ready to buy, and they put a deposit in. I'm looking for an investment. That is 10 times more important than a business plan. So focus on the right thing, man. And as you develop the business plan, which I hate business plans, as you develop it step by step, piece by piece, at the right time, okay? Don't think 10 steps ahead. I hope that clarifies things. That's a good mindset to have generally as you build your business.
Hey, that's so good, Mario. I want to add on something to that. Because that was such great advice from Mario, but you talk, it sounds like you're very overwhelmed as well. And somebody brought up the one thing earlier. The one thing's a book, but it asked this one question by a guy named Gary Keller. The question is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier, unnecessary? So it's one of those things to always be thinking about and really being really honest with yourself, because I think that people can ask themselves that question, but lie to themselves, because there's things, a lot of times the one thing is a hard thing. The one thing is asking for a sale. The one thing is doing these different things. So what I would suggest to do is to think about what's that one thing that's going to move you forward today. And then what I always do is I each night I write down my MITs. So not Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but my most important tasks for the next day. So, and they're typically anywhere from 2 to 5 max that are actually going to make a difference in my business. Typically, they're 2 different things. And then those are the things that I am focused on first thing the next day. So think about that. So think about that question. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier and necessary? That should hopefully generate more than even just one thing, but you can then rank it. And then what you're going to focus on are your MITs, most important tasks. And that's going to help you to get really, really clear and organized each day.
And Mamal, just one more thing, what I didn't hear was, Mario, if you don't invest in startups, I mean, that was fantastic advice, Chris, as well. Vimal, have you done any market research? Have you actually polled people on the differentiating thing that you're doing versus any other card game? And in the 2 or 3 card games I've seen launch in the last year, especially with COVID, all the founders started interviewing thousands and thousands of people as they could to figure out the mechanics of their game. That was really important.
I haven't interviewed thousands of people, and so I've been sitting on this idea for a few years. Like when I say a few years, probably 10 to 15 years. Simply because I didn't think that the time was right because of technology and things like this. But over the last, I would say, 5 years, I think it has been the right time to do it. The mechanics of the games have been sort of tried and tested, and they work. So I just wanted to say to Chris and Mario, thank you both for your advice. I think you're finding the right task to focus on, if it is your most important task. I really appreciate that advice, and I think that's good advice. It's as I say, it's just for me to find out what is that most important task, But as long as I'm getting tasks done day by day, that's I'm going to get to the right ones at some point.
Hi. Sorry, everyone. Ray, can you go? Ray, you're up next. If you want to go and go next, and then we'll go to Zoe afterwards, if that's okay, Zoe.
Thanks. I was flashing my microphone there because I was agreeing with what Mario was saying. I was going to say to you, I've seen 6,500 pitches for businesses through Angel's Den. We've raised money for, you name it, we've done it. Many years ago, I pitched a card game to a conglomerate, went through the whole tortuous process and all the rest of it. So here's what I did, and here's what I've learned. The first thing, one of the things Mario said there was get a page up and make that page a sales page and give people an opportunity to buy. Now, under distance selling regulations, you've got 30 days to fulfill the order. However, what I've seen people do, and Tim Ferriss does this all the time, he puts up, that's the guy behind the 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss puts up a basic page with a link that allows you to buy. If he gets lots of orders in, then he goes ahead and does it. If he doesn't get lots of orders in, then he refunds the money. So that's the first thing. Rather than your business plan, stick to that. And as an investor, if you came to me and said, here's what I've done, I put this page up, and in the first 30, 60, 90 days, here's the number of orders I've received, and now I want to get it to production, then that's a no-brainer for getting the money. So that's the first thing I think you should focus on this week. Next thing is when it comes to intellectual property. Now, I was a corporate lawyer for a while. I also learned about intellectual property. I used to teach it to universities. And in terms of intellectual property, what you've got there is an idea, a concept which you can protect under copyright. Now, it's protected under copyright. You can also get legal expenses insurance. So if you go to meet somebody, rather than getting them to sign an NDA, just simply say to them, look, this is protected under copyright. And by the way, I have legal expenses insurance. So if you think anyone's going to, steal my idea, I've got the necessary wherewithal to cease and desist, take them to court, or do whatever you want. Now, would you like to hear the idea? And we've used that pitch to ad agencies, to all sorts of things, and everyone's blown away by it, and it works. So I'm Ray, second line there on the right, and that's my thoughts.
Really appreciate that advice, because protecting the game is quite important. And sorry, maybe I should clarify. So this is a gambling games like this, so similar to poker, 3-card brag, and it's and I did seek legal advice, and I was told that you can't patent a card game because you can't prove that nobody's played it before.
I'm not talking about a patent. You don't need one. You can protect. Right. People will say you can't protect an idea. Okay. I'll say lectured, but I've given talks to rooms of lawyers who've said you cannot protect an idea, and I've shown them in a space of about 20 minutes that you can protect the expression of the idea. So you cannot protect an idea is a mantra that anyone legal will tell you, but you can absolutely protect the written expression of that idea. And if you back that up with legal expenses insurance, it's going to be a very, very brave person that's going to challenge that. It works. It only works. So use copyright and use legal expenses insurance as your intellectual property bargaining tool when it comes to investors, and that will serve you far better than trying to get them to do an NDA.
As I say, I'm so glad I clicked on this group, and because I was listening to some of the other people's questions and the advice that was given, and it's invaluable. So I thank you, because like if there is some kind of protection, I can literally turn up to an investor with a deck of cards saying, and play the game with them.
But Vima, I'm just sorry. One last sentence, Vima. I'm actually concerned for you, man. It's Mario again. The most important thing that Ray and the gentleman before you and I said, you need to validate the ID. You're focusing on protecting, you're focusing on the plan, you're focusing on the one thing. They're all important, very important. But validate the ID, because everything else might not matter if the validation does not succeed. Please validate the ID, man, for your own sake. Very important.
Appreciated.
Zoe, did you have something to say on this as well?
Really simple in terms of that when you're when you've got so many tasks and things and you feel a little bit overwhelmed, just putting it into phases as well. I mean, Mario and Ray and Chris have given some really great stuff, but when you're thinking about the production of a new idea or something you're putting out there, think about the phases of what you really need first within that particular product or app, and then create those phases and then divide up those tasks over the different phases as well, Vimal, just to help you really, just get it out on paper and just put it in those different phases. I hope that helps.
It does, Zoe, and thank you very much, because in your own way, like you're all saying the same things, like to focus on the important tasks and focus on one task, get that task, and whether I break it down in phases or I call them the most important tasks, or yeah, no, as I say, I really appreciate the advice that you're giving. And if I can instill this as a habit, to sort of say, right, okay.
Paul, can I chip in?
Yeah, can I just
really short?
Go ahead, go, Badger.
Vimal, as you know, Gary and James run this room every week. What would be really good is after you've finished this interaction, is say, right, what's the one first phase I'm going to complete by next Sunday, and report back to us next Sunday. Because you've got you'll have similar people here, so you can say, okay, this is phase one. I've decided this is what I've done, and report back on what you've achieved, whether it's a landing page, whether it's part of the validation, like Mario said. Come back in the room, because most of the people that have given you advice will be here. They'll remember you, and then that will give you an indication. Actually, did I go in the right direction? Did I find out more? You might discover what happens is when you take an action, you take an action where something occurs out of nothing. That's something you don't know yet, and that's something you'll have different questions for, and that creates progress.
Thanks, Badger. Vimal, you've had some great answers there and loads of value. I hope that helps you, and do come back next week.
Thank you very much.
I'm just going to ask everybody to pull down to refresh. If you can also ping anybody else into the room that you feel may benefit from this panel and the topic and the coaching and the advice that you're getting here. And please do follow not just the moderators, but all of the speakers on stage, so that you can follow us into other rooms as well. Now, I do have an announcement to make. I've just had a direct message. Somebody in the room and in the audience is using an accessibility tool to listen to this room. So this is mainly for the speakers here. We need to make sure we're not speaking over each other, because the accessibility tool won't be able to process the speech in a way that works for them. So if you can make sure we're not speaking over each other, that will be great, and it will help that person have access to the information that we're all giving here on stage. So next up we have Cass. Cass, do you have a question for the panel?
Well, what's up, y'all? I hope everybody's having a great Sunday today. So my name's Cass. I have a couple restaurants, 5 right now. We employ about 100 people, and kind of my question is, I've been working hard on my culture over the past 5 years, and I'm kind of doubling down on it right now. And I'm wondering, so for the people that have big teams in this group, what do you guys do every day to keep preaching that culture and kind of make it a real thing? Like I said, we've got 5 locations, so people are kind of spread out. So what are some tips on just kind of communicating that message, and some things that you have maybe your team leads do every day just to reinforce that?
Anyone on the panel want to jump in?
I'll just put something super quick for us. Our team, we're completely remote. And one one of our core values of our company, this is Chris, by the way, the guy with the bow tie, is gratitude and celebration. So I think it's, for me at least, it's very easy to focus on the things that don't go right. So we have we Slack for internal communication is one of the things, and we have a win channel, and people share their wins in that channel. And it depends; it's all different things. But and then every Friday we have a wins call where people share what they're grateful for, what their win for the week was, and then what their win's going to be next week. Really, really powerful.
Ray, you're up next.
Yeah, hi. A few years back, I went from one restaurant 2 to 12, and then I sold them when the value of the leases was much more valuable than the business we were doing. And what helped me greatly was I had what's called a results accountant network, a guy, an accountant from the results accountant network, or RAN as it was called, and he showed me about developing businesses, developing processes, etc. And one of the processes in there was about communication and staff communication and how it was done and why it was important, and that it was consistent. Now that was before we had all social media and all the rest of it. So it's something that has to be done, absolutely. It allows you to get your message across. A guy I was talking to a couple of days ago set up a closed business WhatsApp group so that he could communicate with all his team members, his staff, but he was the only one that could post things and could express an opinion on it. And I thought that was quite good, and I'd like to have had that back in the day. So you might want to think about something like that allows you to put your messages out there on a regular basis. But one of the things that really worked for me was a consistent once-a-week message. So not quite a State of the Union talk, but just simply a message once a week saying, here's how we've done, here's how the business has progressed, here's how many customers we had this last week, and things are going great, etc., etc. So that consistency was built in there. So I'm Ray on the second line there, and Cass, I hope that helps.
That did tremendously, actually. Ray, too, if you want to connect, this is kind of a shameless plug, but I want to do a room where we're talking about actually behind the scenes, like the back of house, systems, process, finances, like the nitty gritty. So if you're interested in talking about that with people, I'd love to meet up on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's two reasons I sold all the restaurants. One was because the value of the leases was so high, but the second was, and you might identify with this, I had chefs and waitresses. We were a traditional restaurant. No, it wasn't fast food or anything. I don't know what kind of restaurant you've got, but I got fed up babysitting adults.
Yeah, I see that. But that's something we're trying to work through, and I think this culture is a huge part, just creating that experience for not only the guests but for the team, and just make sure that we're getting the right people hired, and that we're hiring leaders.
This is Cheryl Wash. I have one to add. There are so many different project management tools, and I know a lot of times they give you a free trial, but you have to put your credit card in. One of the ones that you can try it out for those in the audience who have never used a project management tool is Proof Hub. You do not have to add your credit card in. You can go in and use a free trial and try it out before you go and pay for the other ones like Microsoft Teams, even though that's very not expensive. It's only like $5 a month. I like Mondays, and I mentioned Basecamp earlier, so I just wanted to share that.
Is that Proof Hub? Is that like a Monday?
The great thing about it is that it covers every aspect of your business. You can do like collaboration, file sharing, Gantt charts, Kanban, calendar management, project templates. You got the search functionality, API, automatic notifications. It has everything, document storage, activity, logging, discussion board. I know we're talking about Teams, the instant messaging, and prioritizing. All of them have all of those features, but I was just was trying to give the tip as far as the free one. But I love Monday and I love Basecamp.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all you guys' help.
Thanks for coming up and asking the question, Cass.
This is Haley. I use Asana, and there's a free version that does all of that too, just FYI.
Thank you, Haley.
And there's the app on the phone and the desktop.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just let me reconfirm that message I gave earlier if any of you missed it. There is somebody in the audience using an accessibility tool to understand this room. So if we can all just be super clear when we're speaking, try not to speak over each other, that would be great, just to help them get access to all this great information that we are all dropping. Up next, we have Tiffany. Tiffany, do you have a question for the speakers?
Hi, yes, I do. Hello, everyone. My question is less about the habits in the morning and more about how do you recover after experiencing a setback in business without maybe affecting how you interact with new people who have not met you before or have done business with you before. How do you recover and without possibly tainting a relationship before it has even begun?
I'll jump into this one, Tiffany, because I had to manage that not too long ago. So it's Mario here. Not to impact others, the way I dealt with it is when you deal with it, when you manage it, when you control it, again, control it is not the best term, but when you deal with it, then you're able to ensure it doesn't impact people around you. The way I dealt with it is a simple book that explains it better than I can explain it with this answer. It's called The Obstacle is the Way. It's a Stoic book. If anyone hasn't read it, it's a very short book. I've given it as a gift more than anything else in my life. Highly recommend you read it. And I think every entrepreneur should read it because it gives you the right mindset to deal with any obstacle. It's in brief, in like 2 sentences. You turn something negative to something positive. And what I did with it, so you can relate to it a bit. I was scammed at one of my companies about 1.5 years ago. It was a really bad scam. So the reason I was scammed is because I was very private. I didn't have Instagram, no Facebook, no LinkedIn, nothing. I was a complete ghost. Even my own employees, over 100 employees, about 60-70% of them did not know that I exist. So the manager took advantage of my privacy and managed to scam me. So what I did, the obstacle is, okay, I got scammed. How can I turn that into something that as an asset, something to drive me to towards something positive, which is the way. The obstacle becomes the way. And I use that to trigger me to start my personal brand. So the next day or 2 days later, I got my assistant to hold the camera. And if you go to my YouTube channel now and you go back to the oldest videos, it's literally him filming the whole day, jumping on calls, meetings, the whole discussions with clients, like some confidential things. I just filmed it all in Romania or whatever country I was in. I'm always traveling. So that was the way I dealt with it. And that's how an obstacle became the way. And it's changed my life. And look at me now here talking on this platform and having rooms every day. I would have never done that, not in a million years. So read the book, The Obstacle is the Way. Everyone in the audience, read that book. It's the only book that I recommend at least twice a week.
Thank you so much for that. I will actually pick that up. Thank you.
Yeah, DM me and I'll send you. I've got a PDF version I've sent to many people. So just DM me on Instagram and I'll send it through to you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Thanks, Mario. Samit, are you listening in? Can you hear us at all, Samit?
Yeah, I'm here.
Samit, we had a question earlier from Sarita. She just wanted to confirm what journal it was you mentioned. Sarita, are you still listening? Do you want to repose your question to Samit again?
Yeah. So earlier you were, or you guys were talking about getting organized, and one of the ways that was suggested was journal, like pen and paper, and I think it was Samit who suggested oak.
Yeah,
oak
exactly.
manual.
Yeah, so it's oak.
And
Yeah, go on.
I looked up oak manual and I couldn't find it. I think could it be monk manual? Because I couldn't find
that's
oak
a different one. Let me double check, but DM me and I'll help you find it. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, strange. I'll send you a DM about it. Yeah, if anyone's interested in the oak manual, send me a DM and I'll point you in the right direction. Maybe I'm saying it wrong as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll definitely hit you up with that. But definitely an amazing manual for anyone looking to get organized, create daily habits. I'm also probably the creator is like an NFL guy, so I'm going to try and see if he wants to jump on Clubhouse and maybe do an event as well. So I'll just follow me if anyone's interested in that as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks, Sarita. Violet, you're up next. Do you have a question for the panel?
Hey, yeah, thank y'all so much for letting me come on here. My question is regarding a team underneath you, or like a downline if you have one of those. Basically, whenever I started the process of growing a team of my own, I felt like it was a really important goal of mine to build a community and make those girls, the women that were joining my team, feel loved and welcomed and supported in their personal life and in their business life. However, I feel like that has kind of come around to bite me in the rear, because now I feel like they view me more as a friend and a companion rather than their mentor or, you know, anything in a leadership role. And I just wanted to know if y'all have any feedback on how to kind of gain that leadership role with the girls that I have now and the girls that will join in the future.
Hey Violet, sorry, just a quick one. So it's called Oak Journal, not Oak Manual. Sorry, Oak Journal.
Hey, this is Jen. I can chime in about separating friends and work. My best friend is our chief publicity officer at our company, and our old head of sales was also another one of my best friends. And I made a lot of mistakes with that in the beginning to be able to learn how to separate the two and set boundaries as we brought more people onto our team, and I've been able to heal my relationship with my best friend and have really amazing work friendship boundaries over time. But the best thing that I can say is to start off from the bat, like right off the bat, we have this thing, me and Angela, my best friend, where we'll say friend hat or work hat, and we'll literally compartmentalize our conversations. And I hate that we have to do this. Like usually I would say, integrate work and life, it's all one. But really with friends and with really solidifying those boundaries and, actually saying, I'm the leader, I'm essentially the boss, right? And we have to have that type of relationship sometimes. And then sometimes we have our friend relationship, which is totally different. So if I have a friend conversation that I'm going to have with Angela, before I have it, I just text her. I say, friend hat, when can we have a friend hat conversation? And when we put our friend hat on, we're totally equal, we're friends. But then when we say, okay, no more friend hat, we're in work hat mode, we switch. And it's a really, really safe container that's boundaried, where it's totally like work mode, and it's a different relationship that we have. It's almost like two different personalities, and it's really worked well for us. And it's so unbelievably important to set up that structure from the get-go, because I saw in my relationship and in my situation, it got messy in the beginning because it's a weird dynamic when you start to become friends, and that's what's going to happen in business. It's just natural, especially if you're a loving, caring, generous person, which I'm sure that you are. It sounds like you very much are. You're going to want to be that friend to your people, and that's okay. But what you have to do is say, okay, when we're in work mode, we're in work mode, and then friend hat, if you need me as a friend or as a mentor in a personal way, you can always come to me. But we're setting boundaries around each container. I hope that helps.
Thank you. That does. I think whenever I started the whole team building journey, I felt like it was the community that I was lacking within my upline and the team that I joined. And I felt like it was just, I don't know, it was just something that I really wanted to build for the women that joined my team, so that they would hopefully continue wanting to sell and share their business. But I feel like that just wasn't the smartest tactic to go. So I'm hoping to implement systems that don't necessarily rely on the friendship bond. So I appreciate that so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Violet, for your question. I'm going to ask everybody just to pull down to refresh and follow all of the moderators and speakers that we have up here on stage. We're all here giving up our time to give you some coaching, give you advice, and to speak about daily habits of high performers. Now, I'm going to open the hand raising again for people to come up and ask some questions. Next up, we have Nikita. Nikita, do you have a question for the panel?
Yes, I do have a question. First of all, thank you so much for letting me in on the panel. And I would like to talk to Mario, and I absolutely love his analogy of putting the puzzles and the piece together when you're working on a business. So my question is, when you're working on a creative project, so how do you tackle the fear of this might not work out? And how do you invest? Like, how do you decide if you want to invest your time and energy completely to one project, or do you want to like segregate the eggs in different baskets? That's my question.
Okay. Did anyone in the panel get that, or do you want Nikita to reframe it? Nikita, often when we get some silence like that, it might mean, can you reframe your question in a slightly different way?
Okay, so I mean, when you're starting a creative project, how do you evaluate the potentiality of that particular project? And do you like work on different projects at a time, or do you like invest on one single project at a time?
So you've got to start from a validation standpoint, right? So what have you done to validate that this project is going to be fruitful for you?
Validation is basically identifying how the future of this the project that I'm starting will be. Will there be like people who are willing to invest in the product? I think that's how you would validate yourself, like, okay, whatever I'm doing is going to be fruitful or not. I mean, there's a lot of fear around it.
What is your business? I'll help you out here.
Okay, so I am starting this company with my friend on coaching, basically personality development. And it's just the initiation stage, and my education is in a completely different background. Like, I come from finance. So also there's like switching fields into the picture. So I don't know if I want to completely invest my time and energy in this project, or like stay where like in my lane.
Okay, so who's the expert that's going to be guiding people? Because you're coming from a completely different standpoint, right? So are you an expert? You're not the expert in this field.
No,
so
I'm not the expert. My friend, yes, exactly.
Okay,
she is the expert.
So what are you going to be providing to your friend to assist her? Are you going to be doing the marketing? Are you going to be doing organization? What are you going to be doing?
I'll be handling the operations to begin with, and the marketing.
Okay, so the first thing you guys need to do is just focus on the marketing. Figure out how you can build up a community. I wouldn't necessarily quit your 9-to-5 job just yet. I would focus on building up this community. I'd be figuring out how are you going to generate clients for your business, and this is the easiest way to validate it, right? And you don't move over until you reach that threshold. So that's how you would create. So this is what I'd do. I'd create a very simple website. I'd start finding out where my audience or the clientele that I want to target is. Maybe look at Facebook groups. There's a lot of different types of Facebook groups. Rather than just shouting out and spamming links to these groups, what you need to do is engage these groups and say, hey guys, I'm start posting tips on how people can improve themselves, and people will start knowing you as that knowledge leader, or your friend as a knowledge leader. Start posting things on social, daily tips on how they can improve themselves as well, and people will naturally start seeing you. And then you can start telling your friends and family. A lot of the times people go to friends and family first, but I don't necessarily think this is a sustainable way of creating a good long-term business. There's a lot of ways for you to generate clients, and what I would do if I'm starting any business is I would look at the organic way to do this, not the paid way. So go to Facebook groups, find out where your audience hangs out, start creating value in these groups, and then start offering your services. Make sure your bio, make sure your Facebook, make sure everything you're doing is all about this new project that you're launching.
All right, that's very helpful. Thank you, Samit.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Samit. So I'm going to hand back over to Gary, who's at the top in the middle, and Gary's going to take the room from 3 until 4. Thank you for listening in. Gary, all over to you.
Thanks, Paul. Stellar job done hosting there. Thank you very much indeed. Samit, fantastic answer. I was just tuning in on that last wee bit. So thank you very much for that question. I believe we are with 888 Sarah. Welcome to the stage. Would you like to hit us with your challenge or your question? 888 Sarah, are you there? Bottom right hand corner, microphone. No. We will move on then. So Sarah will come back just in case. Jay, are you there? Jaye?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey Jay, lovely to have you up on stage. How can we help? 1 or 2 sentences, hit us.
thank you for having me to start off with. So I've got a bit of a recommendation and then also a question. The recommendation is for something that was discussed earlier. So everyone was talking about organisation techniques, and a good one that I've recently discovered is it's a bit similar to using your notes app, but if you use an iPhone and you have iOS 14 and have widgets, then a good thing to do is download an app called Do. It's literally just D-O, and it's just a list making app. It's completely free, and then Widgetsmith allows you to add that to your home screen, so you can see your to-do list rather than having to go like into another app or open a book. It's literally on your phone, so every time you open your phone, it's on your home screen. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. And then my question was for any of the moderators, really, but just like what are your biggest tips around self-discipline when you're struggling with motivation or feeling a lack of motivation? What are your biggest self-discipline tips?
That's a great question. Who would like to take this one, guys and girls?
I'll reframe the question. So what was your name and who asked the question?
It's Jay.
Hey Jay, it's Mario here. So your question is what's your tip to keep that motivation going? I would reframe the question to motivate yourself. Well, our answers will not help you. Now, if it's out of interest, of course, it's really cool to see what motivates us. But it's really important to realize, and I was having a long discussion with someone yesterday about this, really long, like 30 minutes, just about that particular point. The way to motivate yourself is to understand yourself. So before you look at what others do to motivate themselves, understand your personality traits. There's a lot of personality tests you could do. Then you understand what motivates you, what drives you. For me, momentum drives me. So I always need to find something that moves me forward. I need to always be progressing, because that's me. So once you understand yourself, then it becomes so much easier to understand how to be able to motivate yourself. So just wanted to reframe the question for you, Jay, to help you out. But I'll give the mic to the next one.
If I can jump in on that, Mario, good morning, Jay. That's a great question. I would say this, that motivation is, so I think it's important to understand the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is something that comes from an outside source. It comes from Mario. It comes from Brad. It comes from Ray, Lauren, whoever it is that you're listening to. It comes from Tony Robbins. It comes from whoever it is, and you get motivated, right? You get motivated. You're inspired while you're listening or while you're in the presence of. But motivation tends to wear off because that person isn't in front of you all the time, or you're not listening all the time, or whatever it is. So motivation is an external force, at least in my understanding. Inspiration comes from within, comes from inside. And so when you're inspired, that tends to last a whole hell of a lot longer. And the inspiration comes from what is your why? Why is it that you're doing what it is that you're doing? What's the ultimate goal? And really digging deep down and figuring out what your why is. Because if your why is strong enough, you can withstand any what or how, right? But really tie into your why so that it isn't just about business, but tying your business to something else, tying your business to a charity, tying your business to something that you believe in, that you really moves you and inspires you. So I think that rather than looking for the motivation and staying motivated, get inspired, stay inspired. And one of the ways to do that is, so many times we talk about how our health is what we eat and what we drink. It's more than that. It's what we hear, who we're watching, who we're listening to, what we're reading. So in order for you to stay inspired, continue to read and follow and listen to and take tips and advice from the people that you want to listen to and that are inspiring you, and do the inner work. And that's how you can get that inspiration going, by figuring out your why and continue to just learn and listen to the right people and stay away from the wrong people.
Yeah, I'd like to add just a little bit to that, Tony, as well. I mean, I think that, I don't think I know that desire is the one and only springboard to action. And if you really take that and see that, it kind of goes back to, Anthony Robbins teaches that the only reason we do anything is to gain a benefit or avoid a loss. Well, that is a desire to gain a benefit or to avoid losses. So if we're lacking our discipline, we probably need to up our desire. The city planner for Chicago, which is a magnificent city, and he had a quote that still stands today, and that's, "Make no small plans, for they have no magic to stir a man's blood." And if your plans are big enough, if your desires are big enough,
then you're going to stir your blood. And if you're not, you start off saying discipline as well, and to stay motivated. And if you're not disciplined to stay motivated, then search down deeper and get a bigger desire, and get inspired by that desire. And what Tony's talking about, inspired. If you think of inspired in spirit, inspired of that particular desire. And then the final thing I'll leave you with is we derive inspiration from involvement. And so get yourself a big enough dream and get involved with that. As a matter of fact, if the dream is big enough, and Tony said it right, so you get the dream. If the dream is big enough, you'll figure out the why. If you find the how, or you find out the why, you'll figure out the how, right? The how don't matter once the dream is big enough. You'll get up and it's just, I'll give you an example of me personally here, right? My desire is to build a big and fruitful and valuable Clubhouse business. And so that desire is so big that I don't have to worry about this, but I'm on this thing almost 24/7 as I can speak for others, right? Because the desire is there big enough. And so we're involved with it. We're in spirit of it. So hopefully if you take that and put that all together, but just kind of remember that quote, make no small plans for it, for they have no magic to stir a man's blood. And I found that in my teaching and building teams of hundreds of thousands of people. If they're not working, if they're not involved, and it comes back to me, I've got to get them to get a bigger dream, because I know if I can get them a dream, whether it's a house or a car, something that's so big, they want it so bad as the next breath they take, then they'll be inspired and they'll kind of create their own self-discipline and move the other things out of the way so they can chase their dream.
Wow, that was amazing. Excellent. Who was just about to go then? Sorry, was that you, Lynn, or
Sorry,
Jay? Sorry,
Tony.
Tony, go for it, mate.
Hi, Jay. You've had some.
I love it.
I couldn't agree more. You've had some amazing advice there, and I think for me that all comes back to and all comes around. Why are you not motivated? There's a reason. On the days where you're not feeling motivated, sometimes it's tiredness, sometimes it's overwhelm, but sometimes it's because you're doing things within the business that don't serve you, that you don't enjoy doing, and for me that comes back. Like, my whole business is in property investing. The biggest part of my business. I moved into public speaking because I love that. I don't actually love the day-to-day, the ins and outs of property investing. It gets me to the end goal. So this comes back to what Brad was saying. I'm inspired to do that, but I also think that we need to move a step on from inspiration. I'm inspired daily to exercise, but I'm not motivated to. I'm inspired by these people who look amazing and they've got this healthy lifestyle, but that doesn't motivate me. You've got to find out what motivates you. What motivates me is when my clothes don't fit or when I get out of breath after looking after the kids. So, when I'm playing with them. So I think for me, you firstly have to identify why you're not motivated. What is it about the day-to-day? Are you doing things within your job role, within your business that don't serve you, that you don't enjoy doing? Use the 3D method. First of all, delete anything that doesn't need to be done, because we do so many things we don't need to be and that don't reach our end goal. Secondly, delegate. So if you hate parts of it, delegate them to other people and just back check. And that leaves you to only do the things that really light your fire, that you are both inspired and motivated to do. That would be my advice. I am Tony on the third row.
Wow, that was fantastic advice. Jay, how do you feel?
Yeah, it was great. It's not that I don't feel motivated at the minute with what I'm doing. I've just started out a new venture. It's just that I know I can go down that hole. And I totally agree with what Tony was saying, in that it's like there are different things every day where it's whether you're tired or when I'm doing things I don't like sort of the monotonous tasks that just need to be done. But yeah, that the help was and all the advice was great. So thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Well, Tony and Tony. Tony with Y and Tony with an I. Thank you very much indeed for those amazing answers for Jay. Jay, amazing. So we will go to Stacey next. Are you there? Can you ask your question in 1 or 2 sentences or pose us with a challenge to assist you with?
You bet. So I'm an overachieving high performer, but I also coach others to start and build their business. What I am experiencing is that they have a lot of to-do lists, and I encourage them to have a not to-do list. What habits do you suggest to be on the not to-do list for high performers?
Admin. that would be my one thing. Admin, without any shadow of a doubt. Anything that's not income generating. Moderators, what have you got up here for the answer to that one?
Mine's short and sweet. Don't compare yourself to other people, and don't try and keep up with anybody else. Row your own boat. That'd be my advice. Short and sweet.
Yeah, I think I'm going to mimic what Tony just said. Hi, it's Victoria, by the way, at the top with the pink circle around her head. One of mine, just to kind of jump off the back of what Tony said, is to don't mindlessly scroll on social media. That is, if you find yourself mindlessly scrolling, just come away from it, turn it off a little bit, step away, reset, reground yourself, and yeah, don't mindlessly scroll.
I think there's another level to that as well, Victoria. That's a fantastic one as well, and I completely agree with Tony. I think for that point, it's don't ever do one task for too long. Yes, social media is a massive time drain, but actually, you all know what it's like. You start something really energized, and slowly but surely your energy dips. And there's so many different varieties you can use in terms of the Pomodoro, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. You know, I know that roughly, depending on the task, it's 45 minutes to an hour max. Now, that's how school was structured, because your attention span dips over time. Brad, did I see you unmute there, my friend?
Yeah, one that's, to me, is vital and critical as a leader and a high performance leader. And I don't know any, you know, I've hung around, and I'm certainly not one, wish I was a billionaire, right? But hung around enough of them, and just the high performance people, is you ask them things they don't do. They don't engage in drama or the gossip. And, you know, I see a lot of people that, and this is, again, I build big teams, and it's kind of interesting, the ones who kind of always are engaging in the gossip or in the drama and kind of keep it stirred. And so if you're going to be successful, you don't have time for that. You don't have, I mean, I watched it last few days. You guys have seen some up here on Clubhouse. I mean, how do these people had to put 1,000 people in rooms for drama? I mean, let me give you some advice. Leave the drama to the people in Hollywood and go out here and build a business. You're either in politics or production. And so a successful person does not engage in drama and in the politics of business, or even everyday life for that matter.
Amazing. Yeah, love that, Brad, and love that from Victoria and Tony. Anyone else?
Could I jump in there?
Of course you can. Who's that? Say your name, because I can't find you.
This is Joe here, me with the baby in the profile picture.
Gotcha.
So just talking about daily habits there, and there's guys in this room that are definitely achieving a lot more than what I'm currently at, but I'm dealing with that. But what I find is, in terms of things I don't do, since I took it up a level, I don't do pretty much everything that's asked of me, and I just do a very small number of tasks, but I do them exceptionally well. So, you know, in my office, I'm focused on sales, generating sales. If the office is falling down around me, I don't pay attention to it. I just leave that to my team. Even then, when I go back home, we've got a rule in my house. I will take care of everything that happens outside of the hall door, and my partner will take care of everything inside of the hall door. And it's been a bit of a trade-off over the last while, that in order for me to level up in my business and improve my performance, and it's really paid off, the amount of tasks that I do, the amount of different tasks that I do, has greatly reduced.
Thank you for that there, Joe. Great shares. Did that answer the question for you there, Stacey? Did that give you some good insights?
I did. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah, one of the things I'm very passionate about is helping people to identify their superpowers. You know, for 10 years, in my first 10 years of business, I didn't really know the key things that I should be doing and what I shouldn't. And it's really, really vital. You know, everybody can refer to it as in flow. And I think one of the habits of high performance and of the high performers is knowing the 3 to 5 to 7 things that they are absolutely exceptional at, that only they can do, and then delegating and leveraging out those other ones. So yeah, it's a great topic without a doubt. Social media, you've got some great insights to help with that. So thank you for the question, and I hope lots of value has been shared. Thank you, moderators and speakers. Clayton, are you there? Would you like to share 1 or 2 sentence question or challenge you are having around your own high performance habits?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on here. This is incredible information.
I had a couple questions, and I was wondering if I could get some insight. I'm operating a carpentry business, and I've been gaining a lot of momentum, and it's starting to grow faster and faster. I seem to be wearing a lot of the hats as a small business, and I'm wondering, there's a lot of opportunity coming, so I want to know some ideas on how I can delegate and grow quicker and manage it better, because it's can be overwhelming at times. So I just want to see if anybody can help me with how I can take steps on growing.
So just summarize the question one more time for me, just as a direct question for the speakers.
As my company grows, I would like to understand the best ways that I can manage it better, so I'm not wearing all the hats, and how I can go about hiring people and allowing it to run smoother, so I can put myself in better places.
And how many is on your team now?
Right now it's myself, and then I hire contractors to join on projects with me.
Perfect. Yeah, no problem. I can help you with this one, but I'll let the other moderators go first of all. So any moderators want to help there? Solopreneur wanting to grow, has a team of contractors. What would be your best advice?
I might jump in on that again, Gary, if that's okay. I am a business mentor.
Yeah, Joe, if we can stick to the speakers, because they've been giving up their valuable time today to be here since 10 o'clock this morning. So we're holding this room for everybody with the greens, and also the speakers who are sort of ahead of where's he gone? Clayton there. Are there any moderators or speakers here that can share from that?
I'll add a little bit. I don't want to feel like I'm jumping in every time, but and I know you're going to have some great value, Gary. Just a couple of quick things is, Clayton, just what are the things that, it's kind of simple. What are the things that you need done that can be hired to do? There's some things obviously that you can only do yourself, and there's some things that you can hire done. And so, you also look for, you may need someone in a couple different areas. Is it an option to find one person that can handle a number of those areas for you? If you're a small kind of upstart business, maybe you can't afford to hire 3 people. Maybe you can only afford to hire 1. But if you get the right person that can multitask, that also understands systems and automation, then they can help you. Because I run a pretty big company, and we call it a cloud-based company, and because we have people in different locations, which by the way is what I suggest. Think outside the box. Don't think that all your people have to live there in the same area you do, because we have people in all across the countries. We don't have a big office here, so we have it spread out because we get the best help, right? But look for ways to automate. Look for ways to put systems in place. I even from a standpoint of hiring stuff done, I use, even though I have a pretty good sized company, I still use Fiverr a lot to get some of my stuff done. That so I don't have to hire. I don't need to hire a full-time employee to get something I can get done for $50, $100, $200 on occasion when I need it. So that's, and then I want to turn it back over to Gary there. But another thing I encourage you to get, there's a book called, it's an older book, but it's distinguishes the difference between working in your business and working on your business. Very important. It's called E-Myth Revised. Be sure to get Revisit. I'm sorry. Be sure to get the revisited one, because it's an older book, but it's an excellent book that I think will help you. And kind of getting your head around, again, the difference is working on your business and working in your business. E-Myth Revisited.
Love that. Thank you, Brad. No, feel free to chip in at any point in time. No problem at all. Any other moderators? Sole trader to business owner, first hires, what to delegate and what to leverage out.
Hey, it's Haley. I'll jump in. As far as what to delegate, what to hire out, I think that the things that you have to ask yourself are, first of all, what do I hate doing? Like, that's my number one. What can I stand doing? Like, personally, I don't like doing anything related to any bills or any financing. Like, I'll make the money. I don't want to figure out what to do with the money. What do you suck at? what can somebody else do better than you? Like in the beginning when we're all starting out, we are the ones that feel that we have to do everything, have to know everything. And it's true. Like I wanted to know how to do everything in my business, and I wanted to feel like I knew it better than anybody else because it was my business. But at some point, you've got to figure out who knows better than you and lean on them. So what do you hate doing? What can somebody do better for you? And then what do you simply not have time for that is not income producing for you, where you're going to make more money if somebody else does it for you? Here's my 2 cents.
Love that, yeah. Hayley. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, who's that? Who wants to go?
I was just saying that was incredible information. I'm definitely going to take that and roll with it for sure.
Yeah, definitely, Clayton. I've been there too. When you're starting out, it's I'm a big advocate. I work with 170 financial services professionals here in the UK, and the biggest 2 hurdles that I have to help them get identified with, first of all, is ironically, considering they deal with numbers every day, is getting a clear grasp of the numbers in their business. So therefore, they can then work out how to recruit that first employee. I help them go from startup through to scale up, and that first employee is vital. And the challenge that I would urge you to do this week is to start noting down. You said you're wearing multiple hats. I like to break it down into marketing, sales, administration, and finances. The best freelancer you can get is someone to do your bookkeeping, as we call it in the UK, where they reconcile your expenses and track all your incomes. That you can get somebody to do. The lady who does mine for 3 businesses is about £250 a month, which isn't a massive cost at all. But that time makes it so much easier. Then this week, I'd like you to note down everything that you do in 30-minute increments and put an I for income generating or put an A for admin. And then when you get to the end of this week, just utilize those A's. That's effectively your job description. And that's your tasks that you want to get rid of first to that trainee person that you bring on. And then recruitment, local Facebook groups have been fantastic. Posting on social media if you have a bit of a social media presence. And also when I say local Facebook groups, in the town in which you're perhaps situated, something like that. Does that help you there, Clayton?
Yeah, fantastic.
Good man.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Cheryl, did you want to go? Yeah, go.
Yes, thank you, Gary, and thank all the mods for always holding space for me and everyone in the audience. I just want to add one thing that a lot of times we don't think about what we should not delegate. I don't know if any of the other moderators might want to add. One of the things that I've noticed that sometimes people do, they delegate things that do not take a lot of time. Something that may take 3 hours to explain, but it only takes 30 minutes to do. I thought about that. And then also like certain confidential work, you should have like a coach. Like there are some great coaches on this team that will help you decide like what should be delegated. Everything should be delegated, but that's why it's so important to have a coach that helps you understand that there is an art to delegation. I just want to share that.
Yeah, that is a great share. You are completely right there, without a shadow of a doubt, Dr. Sherry. I completely agree with that one. Clayton, one of the other tools that everybody in the audience you can possibly use in terms of that, I use an online software called Loom, Loom, which is a screen recording app. So then any tasks that I am doing that I want to delegate, there's a screen recording with a little circle of me in the bottom left-hand corner, basically walking people through it, showing them how to do it. And then if you leverage to an operations manager or a PA, they can create the SOPs around that and a checklist to make sure that it's done. So hopefully that's given you a great deal of things you can think about this week, Clayton. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you everybody for the shares.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next one, which will be Marius, I'm just going to do a quick reset of the room because I've been in here now for about half an hour, and I just want to welcome everybody who is new to the daily habits of high performers. We've been running this room since 10 a.m. this morning. James, who just popped out, is his little boy's birthday today, but he was the initiator of the room. I'm kind of the co-host for it, shall we say, but we did start it together at the beginning of this year, and we run it every Sunday at 10 a.m. So first of all, you're getting support today and coaching on improving your habits, becoming high performers, overcoming, any challenges that you're facing in and around your productivity and your energy levels. So one thing to do consistently throughout Clubhouse that can just help is pull down to refresh, which is press your finger in the middle of the phone at the top and pull down. That just refreshes all the speakers, puts everybody into alignment, and just makes it easy to know where everybody is. I'm Gary in the top left-hand corner. And it's really important that these speakers that have been up here, all the moderators with the little green icon, and equally, you know, Tony, Samantha, Dr. Cheryl, Hayley have all given their time today. Maya, so please do make sure that you first of all follow me, all the other speakers. You do that by clicking on our pictures, and then there's a little button that says follow. And next to that, you want to make sure that you press the bell icon, because unlike all the other social media apps, what you see is determined by what you click on, who you follow. So make sure you follow me and the other moderators, because we run multiple rooms throughout the course of the week, helping you with mindset, high performance, business, marketing, sales, social media, anything and everything that you can imagine. You can see the value that there is in these moderators, and you're getting live coaching. This stuff can cost hundreds, if not thousands of pounds with some of these people. So make sure that you do follow all of the moderators. If you'd like to scroll down on the moderators' bios as well, what you will see down there is a link to either YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter. Feel free to go across and follow them on the social media channels as well. Send them a DM if you're invited to do so. You know, getting access to people's DMs is an amazing option with this still being relatively new as an app. You know, the Android users aren't even on it yet, so make sure you follow, make sure you DM. If you want to get a list of the 15 high performance habits, then just send me a DM on Instagram with habits in there, and I'll send you them. I've been collating them over the course of the last couple of weeks. So if you send me a DM with habits, I will send you that. My new podcast is launching on the 8th of February. It's all about being proactive. I've got some amazing guests and people who I've met on Clubhouse coming on as interviewees. If you want to get tips around your lead generation, that's my kind of superpower, and what I focus on is helping people to automate their lead generation. Then send me a DM with proactive, and I'll be happy to send those across to you. Make sure, before we go to more questions, hit that plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. That just gives you the opportunity to invite 5 people immediately now into this room. Let's see if we can make this the best room on Clubhouse. I think we're currently sat at 500 people. Let's see if we can get a few more into this room. It's going to be continuing on for a good few more hours, so we want to make sure that don't keep all that coaching for yourself. Give other people the opportunity to get some hacks and some habits and some tips and some strategies. I'm going to be with you for another half an hour before I pass on to another one of our moderating friends. So hit that plus button, let them come into the group, and we'll go back to some before we go back to some questions. I'm going to pose a challenge to the panel. When you do come up on stage, and I'll do this one actually in a moment, so let me just ask the awesome panel that we have up here. One of the high performance habits, I did this a little bit earlier, so we discussed around reviewing your past. I think one of the habits that is really good for high performers is that whole multitasking. You know, we often see that lots of people in business or in life or in entrepreneurship always think about multitasking and trying to do loads of things at once. You know, spinning too many plates, as it's sometimes called. What's your view as a high performer on multitasking, and how do you stop yourself effectively from multitasking? And if you pull to refresh, James is back very quickly, so please do give the podcast king, James, the other co-originator of the group, a follow. But yes, moderators, let's just go to multitasking. What's your views on that as a high performer? How do you avoid it, or how do you do it? Please feel free to share.
In all honesty, I still haven't managed to figure this one out. I'm that guy that has a bazillion tabs open. Every time I have a new idea, I'm opening up a new tab, or if I see an interesting article, I open it up, and you know, people always comment how many tabs I have open. I haven't managed to figure that one out yet. But what has helped, or I would say helped me, is literally just writing down my main focus task for the day, and just having all the focus to achieve that. So, you know, they say that you should focus on the revenue generating task, or the 1% task that's going to move you forward every single time. And as long as I get that done in the morning, then, you know, like for me, it doesn't matter because I'm still doing the biggest task of the day. And then if I do end up multitasking throughout the day or losing focus, because I think it's incredibly hard to maintain focus for such a long period. You know, as entrepreneurs, you're working 16 hours a day, if not more, when you initially start. And then once you've got multiple businesses, you're being dragged into a lot of different things. So organizing yourself helps, you know, allocating different amount of time on different businesses. So the 70-30 rule has helped me out a lot, focusing 70% on the main business that's generating me the revenue, 30% on the new venture that I'm building out. I keep doing that out. And then also finding a partner that's going to be looking after these new businesses. You know, I'm creating lots of mini businesses, and then I always have a really good co-partner that ends up being a partner in one of these mini businesses, because you need a driver for these. So that's just something I use. It's Samit with the blue background.
Amazing share. Thank you, Samit. That's fantastic. Multitasking high performers. What have you got to share around this topic? Good, bad, indifferent? Thank you, Haley.
Yeah, I'll jump in again. I have a very similar opinion to Summit. I have a hard time not keeping multiple browsers open. My area where I work, it looks like a complete landing station. I've got a monitor, 2 laptops, an iPad, a phone. What I do is I turn off all my notifications and I turn off all of the sounds. I turn off all the sounds on my computer unless I'm literally doing a Zoom or something like that. So I'm not distracted by all of the beeping. And if I'm really working on something where I'm writing, that's the only thing that I feel like I just need massive concentration, because I'm in the middle of writing something. I can't focus on anything else. Otherwise I can't write it, obviously. Or if I'm reading something pretty heavy, like something that I have to respond to. But I actually feel like I can multitask with a lot of things that don't require my full attention. I can be often listening to something where, I'm sitting in a Zoom, doesn't totally apply to me, and I can be answering an email. I can be doing this Clubhouse and be DMing somebody or doing my laundry. So I like to do the tasks that don't require a lot of focus, and I do like to multitask and then make lunch and be on a phone call. Like I said, have multiple tabs open. But if it's something that is requiring massive concentration, I do have to kind of hide. Sometimes I don't even close the multiple browsers. I just hide them. I just bring the one that I'm working on bigger over it so I can't see it. And since the notifications and the sounds aren't coming on, then I can't work on it. But if I do want to switch for a second, because I've worked on something for 5 or 10 minutes or 20 minutes and I want to shift my focus, I can go somewhere else. I do believe that it's hard for us as human beings these days to focus on things for long extended periods of time. I guess the only time that I turn completely everything off is when I'm podcasting.
Makes a lot of sense, definitely. Yeah, I can relate to that as well. I'm sitting here now looking at the end of month figures and stuff like that, just tuning into you and then stopping to hear some points and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's good. Anyone else with anything in and around multitasking, spinning too many plates, tips, hacks, strategies?
I wanted to add to what Samit said. I am just like that. And the last moderator regarding having a lot of tabs open. What I found was helpful was that there are apps that can be easily Googled. I don't have them right in front of me. One of them is read it later, but it's not just saving all of your browsers at once. It allows you to organize them in categories. So what I do is that, and there are several extensions, and I always say be careful with downloading extensions. But when you have a bunch of tabs open and you use one of the I can't say it, the Italian name for tomato, Gary, you mentioned it earlier. I use that app too. I don't want to say it because I don't want to jack the name up. It's the Italian name for tomato. And what you do is you set it for 15, 20 minutes. Once I'm browsing something for 15 to 20 minutes, I have to just shut it down and start my next, what's on my priority list. But Samit had said that's driven by what's actually making you money versus your passion or your creativity.
Love that. Yeah, Pomodoro effect, the 15-5 or whatever it is. It's a too short window for me. Thank you, Dr. Cheryl. Tony, did I see Tony with an I? Did I see you unmute?
You did. I'm actually multitasking, so apologies if there's noise. I'm making a roof for cauliflower cheese, so there might be some background noise. That is the extent of my multitasking. You know, doing something that doesn't take anything to think about, like cooking, while doing something else that takes your focus. And I think for me, it comes back to service. The reason being, I was definitely a shiny penny chaser, you know, following too many different things, trying to do too many different property strategies, too many different things, and it meant that I actually became really poor at them all. So I'm a massive believer in don't spin too many plates and don't think that you have to massively multitask, you know. Go at your own pace. It takes you a little bit longer to get there, but you're following that one course until you're successful, or until you can delegate and find the things that you're really good at. I think that's my view on it, because I've tried the other way and it meant I failed miserably at a lot of different things. Although my brew is looking good, so I'm doing all right multitasking at the minute.
Yeah, if I could add just one thing, this is Brad. Because I pretty much agree with everybody here. I think we all multitask, especially in today's world, with as Haley was talking about, with all the browsers and stuff. But just kind of one thing, I guess, kind of a warning, if you will, is we have to be very careful when we're multitasking, if we're actually speaking with someone on the other line or on a phone or on a Zoom, because I think that's where we can get in trouble. And I find myself from time to time, I do that, and I'm not hearing what they say. I'm not there with them. And I think, I mean, I don't think I know that when we're speaking to other people, you know, we have to respect them. We have to be there. And so just kind of a little caution as we multitask. We can multitask when we're doing other things, but when we're engaging in somebody important, you know, we got to give them that respect and be there for them, because they can tell when we're kind of off in la la land or doing this or doing that. And so just kind of watch that. There's no saying if you don't respect them, they will leave you. And man, you don't want to lose a good relationship because you're disrespecting, doing other things, and you know, maybe even sometimes don't be naive enough to think that they don't understand, they don't feel it or sense it, that we're doing that they're not important to us because we're doing other things. So just a little advice there.
Yeah, that's a great share when it comes to communication and things like that. And it's one of those things actually that I've learned quite a lot during this COVID and Corona environment. You know, I didn't used to do a lot of Zooms until this was all forced upon us over the last 12 months. And actually, the temptation, particularly when you're on a Zoom or you're on it for a long period of time, is to start opening your emails or looking at your WhatsApp or anything else. But you really notice it when someone's not giving you kind of eye contact or is kind of looking away and things like that. Yeah, so great shares there, everybody. Without a shadow of a doubt, Brad, I can really relate to that as well. One thing I can't remember where I heard it, but what made me think of it was this example of trying to multitask. And I'd urge everyone to do this, and it might make you laugh if you try and do it, but try and count and do the alphabet at the same time. And this is where what's been shared with you is kind of those elements of where you're unconsciously competent at doing things, and it doesn't take a lot of thought. But if you go A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, F6, G7. Crikey, I've done better than I thought I had. But if you actually give that a go, that's kind of the ethos. How far can you get? See how far you can get at actually keeping track of where you are at in both of those things. So great shares around multitasking. Love that. I think it's definitely being able to manage multiple tasks at once is a key habit of a high performer, without a shadow of a doubt. So where were we in the list? Paul, to refresh. Marius, are you there for us, my friend, in relation to your one or two sentence question, challenge, something that you need some assistance with today?
I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for all the value you are adding to us. I'm Marius from Romania. I have a business training and coaching business in personal growth, mindset, leadership. And my question to you is, what daily habits or tools or systems do you use to get more clarity regarding new actions or new projects?
Was it tools and systems specifically, so tech-based? Is that your preference for an answer?
Not necessarily.
Okay, cool. Who would like to help out Marius with this one from the moderators?
Hey, Gary, it's Rob. How you doing?
Oh, where are you? Oh, there you are. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm orange haired. That's where I am. We shut our room down, and I thought I'd come and hang out with you for a while. The most important thing for me when I'm planning a new task is who can do it for me. So as as soon as you ask, how do I do it? Or what do I do? What's the assumption? The assumption is you have to do it, which means you're going to be even more busy than you normally are. And if you're a true entrepreneur, you'll have way too many ideas. So I tried to change a to-do list to a to-leverage list. A to-do list fills with all the shit you've got to do, and it overwhelms you. Whereas a to-leverage list is who can do this, who can do that, who can do the other. So we were running a room for a few hours, and there were a few things going on there. Nick was talking about a DM campaign he did where he sent out iPads to everyone, to his best customers. And I thought, right, who in my team can do that for me? Pinged him an email. So I always like to start with who can do it, because that's leverage. And there's always someone better than me to do a job. So I hope that helps in terms of a thought process. What most people also do is they start with all the stuff they've got to do, and they get to the end of the day, and actually, if they'd have started at the start of the day and gone, who can I get to do A, B, C, D, and sent that to them in the morning, because I guess a lot of entrepreneurs get up in the morning nice and early, before even 9 o'clock, before they've even gone into work, you are leveraging out lots of tasks and projects. So most people get too busy to actually achieve much, because you can only achieve 10 hours worth a day of work on your time. But if you've got 5 staff doing 10 hours a day, you've got your 10 hours and their 10 hours, that's 60 hours. If you've got 100 staff, that's 6,000 hours a day. So for me, I changed how can I do it to who can I get to do it, and it changed my life. It's Rob with Orange Hair.
Amazing, thank you, Rob. That's a great one. Yeah, I like the method of 3 kind of thoughts. Who else can I get to do it? Who else can I get to do it? Oh shit, I've got to kind of do it. And it's like that 3-strike element. So yeah, amazing side from there. Anyone else with anything in relation to tasking, leveraging out that side of it?
It's Samit with the blue head. I just wanted to say that just because I know Rob's here.
Samit.
So yes, did you get enough answers from there, Maris, to start with? I think one of the key things is just, you mentioned tech. I'll give you a little tech hint, which is something that I use because I've got a lot of outsourcers on my team. I use, there's Trello is one. You've got Monday.com. You've got Asana. I now use one called ClickUp, where I've got about 11 people that I manage through that of outsourcers. I'm just bringing in an operations manager to now take on that side of it, because it's stopping me focus on the superpowers. But that can be a great way to give you the freedom as well, because I think particularly for people who are new and starting out in business or in entrepreneurship, the fear around delegation or letting go, can someone do it as good as me? Well, actually, if you can build a process around what it is, and then if you can systemize that process, you can put somebody else in to manage the system and the process and still deliver outcomes. So hopefully that helps you there, Maris.
I second ClickUp, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Just a quick one to you, Gary. Oh, go on, Eddie.
No, you're good.
So I just wanted to ask Gary, what is his view on all these different project management tools? At the moment, I'm in love with ClickUp. I've used Basecamp. I've tried Asana. But yeah, I wanted to figure out what you thought, Gary.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've got marketing. My SEO lady got me onto Basecamp, and I tried it. I didn't really enjoy it and like it. So then I've used Trello as a means to just have a board and track, what we're doing, what needs to get done, what we're doing, what needs to be reviewed, and what needs to be completed. But I didn't really fully like it. And then I tried Asana over a weekend, but it seems like it's trying to merge between, all of it. So in the end, I got a new lady to build landing page funnels on my website, and she was using ClickUp, and she just gave me a full demo of how she's done it and how she manages multiple different businesses through it. And I've got 3 brands on there underneath the one. And then I've just used the sharing options to share them with the relevant team members or the relevant people. And I absolutely love it. So I've got all 3 separate. I've got different kind of sub boards for, whether it's the marketing team, whether it's the Facebook ads team, whether it's the operations. And then I like the fact that you can change it in terms of lists. You can have the boards method. You can date stamp it. You can also have subtasks underneath the main task, and they have all of their own version of notes and attachments. And it just means, I think it's a real great tool for being able to track where everything is at. It's now got to that point, though, where I'm probably spending too much time in that, and I'm actually just in the process of recruiting an OBM to effectively manage all that stuff for me. But it's the best out of all of the ones that I've played with, and I'm using, and I'm not even paying for it yet because of the way in which it's been set up. I'm not having to pay for anything, but all the integrations, all the diary management, the inboxes, the notifications, being able to see what you've delegated, I think it's just fantastic. What's your experience?
I'd love to see your setup, Gary. If you can maybe hit me up and we can see each other's setup and compare notes. I've literally moved over from Basecamp to ClickUp. The integration was a bit messy, because we had a lot of campaigns and projects, and the way it was showing was just very messy. But I'm loving the time tracking. I'm loving that it's got so many tools built in, which Basecamp just didn't have and Asana didn't have.
Yeah, agreed.
Gary, it's Ray here. Can you just say again what it was, the one that you chose, the platform?
Click up. So click as in click your mouse and then up. And I actually did what I'll do, Samit, because obviously we were on WhatsApp, when I kind of set it up over a few weekends ago, but I'm a massive fan of processing systems because I just believe it gives freedom. I like setting them up because then I can kind of pass it on and say, this is how I think it should be done. And then, hopefully with the new OBM who's coming in, they'll be able to even enhance it even further, but then they'll manage it, which frees me up and I can just monitor it. But I actually did I've mentioned it a few times today, and I'm going to be doing lots of this over the course of the next couple of weeks to train the OBM, is using Loom, Loom. So I've got a Loom video in my WhatsApp where I sent it to 7 people on my team and said, this is how we're using it. This is my belief around how it should be used. So I'll chuck that over to you on WhatsApp this evening, Samit, no problem.
Hey, Gary, it's Haley. Could I just jump in again about this?
Of course you can. Yes, sorry. Thank you, Haley.
Thanks. Yeah, no worries. So, some of these task management systems, you really do need an OBM to work on because they are so complicated. You need somebody professional behind the scenes really driving the team forward. Camp a while ago and I couldn't use it. It was just, it really just depends on how your brain works, right? How your eye lays on the screen. I couldn't use Trello either because it didn't seem organized to me. I am a big Asana fangirl. That's just the one that I love. I love how it integrates with everything. I love how we can have conversations there. We've actually gotten rid of Slack, 99%, because we can have all our conversations in there, and we can attach, and we can put images, and we can put PDFs. And I actually use Asana pretty much as my calendar. I mean, I do integrate with both. It's not that I don't keep a calendar, but I do look at them parallel side by side. And so there's the tasks that everybody on my team has, obviously, but I have my own to-do lists, and sometimes they're personal things. And so the way that my system works is that I have, obviously every single day of the week, I look at it in list form. I don't like looking at it in day form. And when appropriate, things have a subtask. And I can assign it to somebody else. They can assign it to me. And then I look at my calendar. Anytime there's an Asana task, I'll look at my calendar, and it corresponds. There's a space on my calendar for me to do it. So that's how my project manager works with me. She literally helps me manage my time by making sure that I don't have this list of to-dos without the appropriate time on my calendar to do it. So I love to talk about this, by the way. This is I dealt with massive anxiety in my earlier years, and it was all about the overwhelm and not having enough space, not having enough time to do. So I have this thing that I teach twice a year. I'm actually doing it February 17th. If anybody wants to come, just follow me on Instagram and you'll see it. But I'm just going to teach people how to manage their calendar. And I call it reclaim your time.
Oh, where did she go? Was that just me or did we lose her?
I've invited her back.
We lost her.
I've invited her back.
That was me. I was trying to click on her Instagram. That was me by accident.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I'm trying to go to it.
She's gonna think that you moved her on purpose now.
But actually, I'm following her. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Haley. We love you, Haley. Come on.
Haley, where are you?
Haley, come back.
Here she is. She's here. Bring her up on stage to speak.
I did. I've done it. I don't think she's got that.
Tony, you've really upset her now.
Thank you, Tony, for being so honest.
Go off for 10 minutes and
And Tony removed you by accident. She was checking out your DMs.
Oh my God.
She wasn't. She said it was on purpose. She said it was on purpose.
Okay,
you just
I want to say something. I was dropping bombs, so tell me where I dropped bombs. Like,
carry on.
You just said I'd love to talk about this.
What?
You just said I'd love to talk about this. Go to DM me and I'll tell you about the event that's happening.
Yeah,
in
I
February.
geek out on this. I teach people literally over these 7 days, just a free tutorial. I do it on Facebook Live. I'm thinking about doing it here too, to be honest. But I teach people how to correlate the two together, like how to integrate the two together, how to have everything on your to-do list, but also have a place for it on your calendar. Because I think that the place that people get super overwhelmed is with the big to-do list, and then not being able to fit it into their calendar and going, oh my God, when am I going to do this? So yeah, you can either just type Reclaim Your Time challenge into my DM, or just pay attention on my Instagram stories, because I'll be talking about it either way.
Gary, do you know what I've found? More tools, more problems. That's something that I've seen. More tools, more problems. They just need to combine all of them.
Sammy, you should write a rap song about that. More tools, more problems.
More tools, more problems.
No, I can completely relate to that. Especially, I've got an online coaching group and coaching community and training courses. And you know what it's like in this training space. You've got Active Campaign for emails. You've got Kajabi for the portal. You've got ClickFunnels for landing pages. You've got something to manage all these. You need people just to manage all these bloody different things. But yeah, I think it's the unfortunate thing with systems is there's never one size fits all, is there? They've always kind of got their little niche and their little thing that they're amazingly good at, and then they just bolt the other bits on. Systemization is a fun thing to deal with. But Marius, hopefully,
hey Gary,
I'm pretty
before
sure.
You go on, is there a way, now that I'm got bumped down and bumped up, now it looks like I have a question again because I'm all the way down at the bottom. Is there any way to fix that or no? Because when I came in last time, somebody asked me about a question also, and I'm like, no, I was just invited up as a speaker, and now I'm kind of like in a different position.
We got you, don't worry. We know you're there. That's no probs.
Cool.
I'll make sure Georgia's taken over in the not too distant future, I believe, in any case. Oh, she looks like she's arriving. So, Marius, thank you very much indeed. We will go to David. Have you got one or two sentence question or challenge you are facing around the daily habits of high performance, or something you need assistance with today?
I appreciate the time that you all are giving and your experience. So thank you in advance for that. For the past 25 years, I've been working in speaker management in higher education, and higher ed has a really high turnover. And finally, I have a CEO. She's fantastic. I moved her from COO up to CEO, and bonus and profit share and et cetera. But looking at how to provide equity, she has already worked with an owner's mentality from day one. And I want to sort of codify that and make sure that I not only keep her, but keep her fully motivated and interested as she's shown that she is. And I'm looking for people's experience doing it well, because I know there are many potential pitfalls. So I really appreciate any experience from someone that's done this.
David, it's Rob here with the Orange Head. I can take this because we've taken our MD on this journey. And we made a load of mistakes, believe me, or as you say in America, a shit ton. So I think the first step is profit share. I think the second step is some kind of, they become a partner. I think the third step is equity. And I'll tell you why. I think a ratcheting system of career progression works better, because sometimes you give away generously, but then it makes it difficult to have something to target. So when we actually brought our MD on, she was head of operations, and then we promoted her to MD, and then there'll still be kind of almost like a CEO type promotion as I become more strategic. And she's got a place on the board now. But the reason I like profit share first is because as soon as you have equity, it's messy. You know, you've got a tax implication of bringing them into an existing profitable company. If they leave, you know, you've got that issue of how do you get the shares back? So we used to put a clause in to say that just hand the shares back if they leave. You know, how do you work out the value as a percentage? There's all these different quandaries. They need to get their own lawyer and representation. Now, they may have some experience, like you said in this, David, but the good thing about profit share is it's clean. There's none of the sort of complication of getting in on equity, and you can ratchet that up. Now, there's one downside of profit share, David, is what do you base that on? You know, if you're a PLC, you have to publish your full accounts, but if you're not, you don't. And how are you running your accounts, and how timely are your management accounts, and you know, what you're running through, and are the interests aligned? Because if you're, you know, running a high expenses through your company because you're lifestyling it, then obviously that reduces the profit because you want to reduce the tax, and then that reduces their profit share. So that is a downside. But we've just made our MD a partner of an LLP of ours, but she doesn't have equity, and that she's that's definitely a career progression for her, which she's pleased about. I'll probably do another couple of ratchets of profit share before she then gets equity. So she's been with us 10 years, but hopefully this will now give another few levels. So she's with us 15 plus. Now, Warren Buffett is of the opinion that you pay people what they're worth, and Bill Gates is of the opinion that you cut people in with shares. But most of these do share options that vest at a certain point, which may get around the issue of the immediate taxation, though you must get good legal advice on that. So that's another option, to do share options that vest at a certain point. That's my personal experience, David. I hope it helps. Obviously, it might be slightly away from what you wanted, and other people might have good experience of cutting in on equity. But we did it a couple of times before for staff, David, and they still left, and it was messy when we had to exit them. So it's Rob with the orange head, and I hope that's useful to you.
Hey, Rob, this is Cameron. I'll add into this as well. When we were building 1-800-GOT-JUNK, we followed Jack Stack's Great Game of Business profit sharing program
exactly what I was
for
thinking
3 years. And we had all of our employees read the Great Game of Business. We brought in some instructors to teach our leadership team. We ran a full open book P&L every single month for 3 years. And the employees, to qualify for profit sharing, had to attend 10 of the 12 monthly P&L reviews where we went through the entire P&L line by line with them. So they did actually start thinking of the company differently. They did start making decisions that were aligned differently. And we did actually have some impact on profitability. However, what all of a sudden went sideways was the managers, as we grew the company, we ended up, when I left the business, we had 248 people at the head office, 3,100 system-wide. I'd taken them from 14 employees up to 3,000. Once we got to the stage where we had a leadership team and then a management team under them, the hiring managers started getting lazy in the interview process and would start telling candidates, oh, I know the job is only $75,000 a year, but normally we're getting a 10 or 12% profit sharing bonus as well. So employees started coming in with the expectation that was actually just a normal payout, part of their salary. What happened, unfortunately, the year after I left in 2008, 2009, and then even through 2010 with the global financial crisis and the big ripples, when the company went from 120 million down to 70 million, all of a sudden there wasn't profit sharing to pay out, and employees got pissed because it had turned into an entitlement versus an opportunity, and they didn't really treat the business like an owner. So my recommendation, and I've been coaching companies on this stuff globally for the last 13 years since leaving 1-800-GOT-JUNK, is to consider more of a phantom stock model where you actually put a valuation in place and a valuation mechanism. This is how the company gets valued. As we grow the economic value of the organization, you'll have a pot of money that is now yours, and we pay out 30% of that pot to you every year. So the bonusing is part of that pot. And then on the economic value of the organization, if let's say you've got 5% phantom stock, as the company goes from a $10 million valuation to a $20 million valuation, we've now grown the company by 10 million. Your stock is worth X, but we pay that out to you after you leave over the period of 3 years. So you have a valuation model that everyone understands. You have a mechanism to pay it out. It's not actually equity. It's more of a phantom stock model. And then for any key executives, you can have something in their management agreement with the change of control provision. So if the company is sold or acquired or goes public, then maybe there's a payout for them that way. but I think it can be very, very dangerous to give out equity. And then the other last issue on profit sharing is it's almost never aligned with the entrepreneur's goals. Most entrepreneurs are not driving profitability. We're driving the overall value of the company. We're driving revenue. We're driving growth. We're driving customer engagement, profit, employee engagement. And a lot of those things cost money. And often we would rather invest in more growth because we're either driving to sell or driving to build something. Profit isn't actually the real goal. So if you're saying you've got a profit sharing incentive, but the real organization's goals are different, then you completely misaligned people. So those are just some thoughts to consider. Hopefully that's helpful. I'm Cameron.
Wow, thank you, Cameron, and thank you, Rob. They were fantastic insights. That's really helpful as well, having got an operations manager and an OBM coming in. So that's very, very useful. Cameron and Rob, thank you. Where have you gone? That was David. David, thank you very much indeed. Did that answer your question? He's too busy writing notes.
No, speechless.
I'm speechless. Thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David. Amazing. So let's go to Alwyn. Are you there? Can you ask a question or pose us a challenge in 1 or 2 sentences to help you improve today?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Thank you very much for having me. Ewan, a lawyer and business advisor based in Zurich, Switzerland. I'm just saying what I do so that probably if you give me answers, it can be also in line with the business that I'm running. In the meantime, at the moment, I am transitioning from a one-woman show to building up a team around my business. And this is here when where I need leadership skills. And there was this lady that I was driving. Unfortunately, I did not see her name. She was talking about this business, work hat and friend hat. So my question is exactly how often and how long we should hold like team calls or meetings with people that we delegate tasks to them. Is it like a kind of like in a group format or in single person format, and how we keep this as efficient as possible in case especially 1 or 2 of these team members probably are engaged in the same project or tasks as well. Thank you.
Moderators, does anyone want to take it, or should we get the question just condensed and reconfirmed?
I think it depends on the people, the team, the departments as to the answer. Like, for example, if it's sales, you might want a daily meeting. I know you didn't say sales, but maybe just clarify who these people are a bit more.
Yeah, sure. For example, I mean, I am fortunate enough that these people reached out to me without expecting for compensation at the moment. They have been like my social media fans and seeing my stuff. And then now they volunteered to come and take care of my tasks in return for like mentorship and teaching them the stuff that I have been doing myself. So that is actually one good thing that I have. And in advance, I thank you also for answering David's question, because that would have been my question in 2 months. And I now have all notes for that. So these people, one of them, both are lawyers. One would be in a role of a legal assistant so that I can delegate to her the tasks which are really the client work. And one is also a lawyer but overseas, and he is also very talented in marketing and helping lawyers get into the proper partnership pools or social media platforms, etc. So both lawyers, but one is shall focus on the legal work and also some of the trainings, putting trainings together, and one will be focusing on business development, but also lawyers. So the work can be actually overlapping.
Okay, I'm good to take it. It's Rob with the orange head. I hate silences. Personally, I think they're separate, and I think you should do them separately, not together. And I think you could do about 2 calls a week. And then maybe with access to you somehow, whether it's email or WhatsApp. I have 2, maybe 3 calls a week with my MD. I have 1 to 2 calls a week with my executive assistant. I have a VA agent just general legend who's been with me for 14 years. We don't have any meetings, but we just ding dong on WhatsApp. So, maybe that's the range. I don't see the benefit in you getting them together. So 1 to 2 meetings a week. I don't think you need any more than 30 minutes. And I would look at reviewing what's been done and reviewing what's to be done. Make sure you support them as well as instructing them. I always try and support my team, find out if they're okay, if there's anything I can help them. I see myself as working for them rather than them working for me. Because, hey, look, without all my staff, I'd have to do the job of 200 people, and that would be horrible. I don't know if you were here earlier on the discussion about systems, and Samit made what I thought was a really good point, that you can go on system overload and you can use all these apps and software and everything else. I use Evernote, WhatsApp, and Microsoft Exchange, which has calendar, email, and that's it. And I can run my life on that, and it's really simple. And so I hope that helps.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Rob, this is Cameron. I'll jump in on this just to assist as well a little. In scaling any of the companies that I've had to build, we had to get very, very good at our meeting rhythms. And one of the meeting rhythms was the one-on-one coaching. But one of the things I noticed, I was coaching a company that I had gone from 40 employees up to 700 while I was coaching them over 6 years. And the CEO was kept saying our meetings suck. And I said, no, your meetings don't suck. You suck at running meetings. So I actually wrote a book called Meetings Suck for every single employee and every manager to both read or to all read. It outlines first, the third of the book is how to run all meetings. So it gives you the basic kind of overall guidelines on how to run highly effective meetings. The second part of the book is for employees on how to show up and attend meetings. So it's also how they show up to their one-on-ones, how they show up to any finance reviews, how they show up to any annual planning meetings, etc. And then the third part of the book is all of the core meeting rhythms that any high-growth company needs to actually scale. So it'd be your annual planning meetings, quarterly reviews, financial reviews, strategy meetings, leadership team meetings, business area meetings, business area reviews, one-on-one coaching meetings, and daily huddles. And I outline all of those different meeting rhythms and how to actually run them successfully. So that may be helpful for her as well, is to dig into the sections on the one-on-one coaching meetings as well.
Would you repeat the name of the book, please?
Sure. The book is called Meetings Suck, and it teaches you how to run them, but also for all employees on how to attend them and participate in them. In fact, even when Elon Musk, I've known Elon for 25 years, his brother worked for me in 1993. He sent a tweet out last year saying that if any of his employees are in a shitty meeting, to stand up and leave the meeting. So I sent him a text message after. I'm like, dude, you got to fix the root cause. If your employees are in shitty meetings, don't tell them to leave. Fix the meetings so they're no longer in shitty meetings. And that's really the core problem. It's almost like software, right? We can complain about all these, project management softwares out there, but there's a woman talking who really understands it. It's understanding how to use the software. It's like a shovel. A shovel is just, it just sits there. If you don't know how to use a shovel, it doesn't work. Most people never actually get the base training for any of our project management systems, or do we understand, as she mentioned, how to use your calendar as your task manager. The calendar is the best task manager we ever have, but most people don't understand time management. It's really not the tool that's the problem. It's usually our understanding of the methodologies. And then I really line up where Rob is as well. I'm more that servant leader where I flip the org chart upside down. The CEO is at the bottom of the org chart, supporting the VPs, supporting the managers who are supporting the customers, almost like an inverted pyramid. So all of your meetings are there not to oversee them, not to hold them accountable, not to manage them, but to be able to provide the proper support systems in all areas of business that you need to scale. So hopefully those are helpful.
Hey, Alina, I just want to give you a little more insight and feedback. From what I heard is that your arrangement is going to be where you're coaching and mentoring people, and they're going to give you, in essence, gratis work in return. And so that's great. And one thing I wanted to jump on earlier was I used the term core versus context. And one thing that's going to be very important as you develop this relationship, which can be very strong, is to realize that whatever you're teaching them are things that you should be able to pick up in case this arrangement ever ends. Maybe they get full-time work somewhere else. Maybe you decide that they're not working for you. What you don't want to be is in a situation where they have so much information that if they left, that you would not be able to pick it up. And that's where I think we tie in also whatever system you choose. With the startups I work with, they all use many different systems. Asana, Trello, Basecamp, I use them all. So for you, simple situation, you pick the tools, You train your people, you figure the cadence out, and be sure that you're able to take back whatever you need to take back in case that arrangement ever changes.
That is very helpful. Thank you so much, especially because the business is a very sensitive, legal business. So, I think there's a fellow lawyer also in the mods, Ray. I have a lot of respect for him and also his valuable advices on the previous questions. I thank you all very, very much. I have one last question. Is it possible to ask, or shall I leave?
Make it super quick. Super quick.
It's
one
very,
sentence.
yes, very quick.
We'll go 1 sentence answer.
It is. I'm a great starter, but I have a challenge to finish the projects that I have started. Is there anything on the discipline or self-integrity, or what can be the issue that I should work on?
I think it's actually really super simple. Find somebody who's great at finishing. I absolutely love starting things. I love coming up with the ideas. I like putting in systems and processes, creating the content and everything else, but I have no desire to go all the way through. It doesn't mean I don't want to see the project through to completion, but I like seeing the end of the finished product and knowing that it's providing the best possible service and outcome and result for a client or anyone that I work with. But actually, that's where an operations manager or a integrator, as it's called in a visionary side of things, in a rocket fuel, the great book side of things, find someone who's fantastic at doing that side of it for you. Does anyone else have a quick share on that as well? No, I think we've got that one for you, unless and that was there. So, yeah, Owen, hopefully that helps. That would be my best advice would be you have to finish certain things when you're starting out, but the goal is, in being a high performer, it's finding somebody to fill your weaknesses. So if you can do that, that will make things happen so much easier. The yin to your yang, as they may well say.
Absolutely valuable advice. I appreciate it. I appreciate it much, and thank you all for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up on stage. Thank you for your questions. Welcome to Clubhouse. I can see your party hat. So great question, great shares. And thank you very much indeed, moderators, for giving up your time today. Just as a quick one, I'm not going to do a full reset, but just as a quick one for the audience, please make sure that you do go and follow every single moderator that is up here today. Everybody that has given you value, Cameron, Haley, Dr. Cheryl, have all shared massive amounts of value, as well as all the moderators with the little green ticks. Please do give them a follow. You do that by clicking on the images, clicking the follow buttons. James, the guy to my left at the very top, and I have ran this room together for the last 3-4 weeks. We've had great support from Ashley and Nick and Catherine and Ray and Tony. So please do make sure that you follow everybody that is here to make sure that you're getting value every single week and getting notified of all the other rooms that are there. So we'll go to 2 more before we open the hand raise for you all. Then I'll be passing on the moderating torch to the lovely Georgia when she comes to the completion of her journey. So John, are you there? Can you ask a question or pose a challenge or a tip or a strategy that you need in 1 or 2 sentences for this panel, please?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Briefly about me, I am a student of industrial engineering and international management, and I'm currently doing an internship at a distribution company. I had been dealing with high-performance thought processes for a while now, and I always got out of the routine simply because after reaching a goal, I always get into some sort of a buffer zone and always have to pick myself up again. I think this also leads to an uncomfortable state for me to continue at a high pace. And the question is, how do you continue to perform at a high level after a goal is reached? Maybe you can talk about confidence and dealing with anxiety, and maybe you can see me as your past selves and you give your past selves some advice. Greetings from Germany, and thank you in advance.
Thank you. That's a fantastic question. Any moderators care to share straight off the bat? Staying motivated after you've achieved the goal and staying on that high performance.
Yeah, hi. I'll jump in here. It's Ray. I think that motivation is one of those things that
Is it me or have we lost him? No, I think we lost him.
Yeah.
Ray, come back. Would any other moderators like to go before we wait for Ray? Ray, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Can hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was just driving and went through a bad patch there. I was going to say, motivation is one of those things that if you've got a big enough goal and a big enough ambition, big enough dreams, and you're heading towards them, and you are taking steps towards them daily, then motivation shouldn't be a problem. Now, when you achieve a goal is just simply on that road towards the big, hairy, audacious goal that you've got. And therefore, whether you achieve it or whether you don't achieve it, it should not detract you from the main target, which should be to be the best that you can be before you shift off this mortal coil. I think, goals are one of those things that it can be, I wouldn't say difficult to understand, but I have systems rather than goals. So there are certain targets, things you want to achieve, but rather than a goal, it's a system. My system is to keep moving forward. My system is to get things done. And if the dream is big enough, the motivation should be there. So I'm Ray on the second line on the right. I hope that helps.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to jump in there as well, guys. Hi, Gary. It's Carmelita here. You know, I a couple of years ago, I went to Birmingham in the UK, and there was this temple, this Hindu temple, and what I was really taken aback because they had 100-year goal for what they were planning to achieve, and for the very first time, I looked at my life and okay, yes, you know, how many years you want to live? What is the next goal? And I thought, do I have 100-year goal for my business? Was it just about buying more real estate or selling a bunch of properties or, you know, getting more coaching clients or whatever? What was the 100-year goal for me? And for them, when I looked at it, it was legacy. So I think it's crucially important when the goal or whatever goals you set, you've got to set something that has to do with legacy. When you leave here, what are people going to say about you? What impact did you make in the entire world? What are people going to say that, yes, you've been here and that you've left this for them? And that really challenged me to look at my 100-year goal. So I want to encourage you, whenever you're setting goals, look at what is next, and what is your legacy moment. And I switched my mind away from that. And I started looking at charity and started looking at supporting other companies and supporting other businesses. And that allowed me, whenever I hit a goal, I would celebrate, and you've got to celebrate. But then the 100-year goal always comes back to mind. What is the legacy you want to leave through your brand, product, or service? And that should be your driving force to keep going until you drop, until you have nothing left in you, but you've given your all, and that it goes on after you're gone. This is Carmelita here, and that is mine. Let's get it done.
Carmelita, I just want to go out and lift some weights or do some energetic running or something. That was powerful. Mike,
I want to go out for another 10-mile run now, Gary.
She's my new personal trainer.
If I could add just one more portion to that, one thing that I learned years ago from John Maxwell that he teaches, and that's which I agree with. It's really changed me and how I've my life, but also how I've been able to lead those, because again, we build large teams, and that is to be growth oriented, not goal oriented. And but if you can get that and continue to always be, because you're going to hit goals, right? Now, he's not saying don't take that as total that you don't have goals, right? But you should be ultimately growth oriented. How good can you get? Can you improve in this area of life? Can you improve in that area of life? And so if you're growth oriented, and always talking about trying to be personal growth and growing yourself, you're going to, if you growing people grow businesses. And so that's just the nugget that I've learned and put into practice. And, from the goals themselves, you should have an evolving goal. When you hit a goal, just never have an ultimate goal, have an evolving goal. I mean, crazy it is, I've got goals here in Clubhouse, right, to hit this mark, and then when I hit this, I had to go hit and getting 5,000 followers, but I knew that wasn't the ultimate goal, that it was an evolving goal. Once I hit 5,000, then my goal was 10,000, then 15, and so forth, right? But the ultimate, though, is to be growth oriented, and then those other goals become a lot easier.
Awesome. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. One thing I would like to add to that is almost imagine the fact of the 90-day year is a great one. And when you're achieving a goal, working on something like 70-30, as Samit mentioned earlier, You know, you've got to be constantly moving that needle and looking to move forward, and you've got to celebrate your wins. So when you achieve that goal, definitely celebrate your win. But if you're working on your secondary goal and where you're moving to on the next one, you know, you're then going to be able to replace your 30%. That will become your new 70%. And that should keep you inspired rather than motivated, because exactly as Kamalisa said, you're working towards the bigger overall picture and the overall arcing goal of everything. John, how was that for you?
Oh, wow. Thanks a lot. Kamalisa, wow.
All I will say to you, John, wunderbar.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Amazing. So I'm just going to do a quick reset of the room before I will pass you over to the lovely Georgia. We've been running this room since 10 a.m. this morning. We're going to be going till 7 o'clock. And then we've got another room that we'll be passing you over to so that you can keep getting the value thereafter. So we're going to run this room until 7, and we'll be announcing 10 to 7 and 5 to 7 where you need to head next to keep making sure that you get the value through the evening and through the daytime, through the afternoon, wherever you are in the world, because we are obviously all over it. So the quick reset for you all. You are in the Habits of High Performers room. We've been here since 10 o'clock this morning, supporting you with coaching, with questions and answers, with advice that you need to take yourself to the next level. Make sure that you are consistently pulling to refresh, which just involves putting your finger at the top of the phone and dragging down, because that realigns the speakers for you. It's really, really important that everybody on this stage, you go and give them a follow, especially the moderators with the green backgrounds. But please do follow Kamalisa, follow Sam, follow Dr. Cheryl, Haley. The other gentleman's gone. Cameron, I think it was. He has now disappeared, I think. But please do make sure that you follow every single person that has given you value today. The reason why is that Clubhouse, the hallway, as it's called, the corridor when you first log in, is made up of the people that you follow. And if you want to be able to know the rooms that they're in, if you want to get notified, then you need to press the follow button. You do that by clicking on our faces, click the follow button. To the left of that is a bell icon that you can press, which means that you get notified. It is really important that you do that. We run this room every Sunday at 10 o'clock. I haven't done it on this room today, but we have the option when we open the hand raise, which we will be doing in the next few minutes. But we can choose to either limit it to followed by the speakers or having it open to everybody. So as Clubhouse starts to get more busy, as more people turn up, as it gets open to Android, it's going to get harder to get on stage. So you must make sure that you are following every single speaker. Please do follow my partner in crime, the co-host, the idea originator of this group, James, to my left at the very top in the lovely salmon jumper. He is known as the podcast king, an absolute genius when it comes to branding. Make sure you click on him and give him a follow and go and send him a DM with podcast so that you can get some fantastic podcast tips and also some podcast content. Please give me a follow. I'm Gary in the top middle. If you want to get some hacks on the habits that have been shared over the last few weeks, if you send me a DM on Instagram, which you can do when you click on my face and go down, there is a link to my Instagram. Send me a DM with hacks and I'll send you the top 20 hacks that we've been recording over the last few weeks to improve your habits. If you send me a DM with Proactive, that is my new podcast that is launching on the 8th of February. I've got Proactive Lead Generation, which is how you can improve your lead generation immediately. It's a free ebook. I'll happily send that to you so that you can get support in generating more inquiries for your business. Finally, please do hit that plus button in the bottom right-hand corner. When you hit that plus button, it will bring up a load of people. Make sure that you ping 5 people into this room right now so that we can get it over the 500 mark. I think we're currently sat at 460. Let's see if we can get it over 500. If everybody pings at least one person, but let's go for 5. We want to make sure that they're getting the knowledge. You know, all these exceptional moderators, business owners, speakers, mindset extraordinaires have been here most of the day providing their wisdom, their value for free. So bring people in so that they can get their questions and coaching this afternoon. I'm going to pass you over to the lovely Georgia. It's been fantastic helping you today. Keep your questions and your challenges to 1 or 2 sentences. and then the moderators and speakers will ask you extra if they need, and Georgia will limit it to 2 or 3 speakers with a couple of minute shares so that we can keep the energy that Carmelita just brought us a moment ago high and the room absolutely flowing. So thanks very much indeed. I will check in just before 7-ish. Georgia, are you there to take over? Thank you, guys and girls and moderators, speakers, audience. It's been a pleasure. Over and out.
Gary, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name's Georgia Kirk, and I will be hosting this room on behalf of Gary and James for the next few hours. Can I first just get a round of applause by way of mic flash for Gary Dass and James Burt up at the top here, the founders of this room. They bring it to us every single Sunday, and it's fantastic every time. I love this room. Thank you. Guys, thank you so, so much. Okay, perfect. So I'm here in the black and white photo, Georgia, for those of you wondering who on earth is now speaking. And I'm going to be helping connect you amazing listeners with the equally amazing mods and speakers that we have up here. Before we go back into questions, can I just check in, Gary, if you are still there, was there who was next in the question queue, or are we going to be ready for some more? No problem. Okay, Grace is flashing her mic. Grace, does that mean that you're next?
Yes.
Perfect. So 2 secs. So just we're going to go into Grace's question, and then I'm going to put a question out to the moderators here as well to get the conversation up and running again in keeping with the theme of the room, daily habits of high performers. The hand raising is on, so I'll be bringing up 5 of you wonderful people at a time. So please do raise your hand to get in the queue. And Grace, in the meantime, it is over to you. It's a pleasure to have you up here, and how can we help?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Grace. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm an actress, producer, author of a #1 release called Don't Make Girl Mistakes on Amazon, and full-time CEO, entrepreneur of over 15 years. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own several small businesses, and my question is that I'm single with no children, and I'm finding myself so consumed with my businesses that I think that I've been so used to kind of doing what I want to do when I want to do it, even including personal life and business life. I'm having a hard time trying to find a way to structure and have like a balance. You know, it's kind of like I can get up and do what I need to do when I need to do it, but I'm like, okay, I need to find excuse me, a better structure of like a plan, like a daily habit to say, okay, I need to get up every day at this time and do this. I need to have this done at this particular time, or, you know, set like time limits and whatnot. Is anybody able to tell me?
I hear you, Grace. Could you distill that into just a 1-line question, please? That will really help.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to understand how can I better structure my daily routine? How do I find a balance between personal and my businesses? Because right now I feel like I'm just doing so much at one time, just multitasking on a super high level.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So,
if you can hear me here, this is Nick at the very top.
Oh, Nick, go for it.
I'm here, yeah. Hi, Grace. How are you?
Hi. I'm great.
I have a number of different ways of doing this, so I'll share a little bit with you, and maybe some of that will be something that you may want to apply. I'm always very conscious to answer questions like this, to sort of say what works for me may not necessarily be the right fit for you. But I have found that I have a pretty full-on system that I've used over the years, and I keep iterating it to improve it. So, I mean, first and foremost, I have a very disciplined way of scheduling. So I set annual goals like most people have, but I set annual goals across 8 different areas of my life, right? So I have business goals, financial goals, health goals, relationships, adventures, things like that. There's 8 different categories. And then what I do is I focus then on the next 90 days, which has been spoken about a few times here. But I think about it in terms of the results that I want to achieve, not so much the things that I have to do. So, and this is an important piece because some people get confused. I don't focus on, say, 8 different categories and think that I have to have goals in each categories, and then all of a sudden I've got 8 times whatever in 90 days. I focus on 3 of the categories that are the most important to me for the next 90 days, and I make sure that I double down on those. So at the moment, as we're in lockdown here in the UK, the 3 categories I'm focused on right now are health and well-being, my family, and business. Okay, and then the other ones, like travel, adventure, all the other bits and pieces I have, I'm not, I can't really think about those because I'm locked down. So what I'm doing is I set specific results for those 3 categories for the next 90 days. And then what I do is I plan my weeks on a Sunday. It's a Sunday system. It takes 2 hours. And I effectively block my diary first with any of the things that I need to do to make sure that I'm going to achieve those results from those 3 categories. And then I take it even more granular and I make sure that every single day is blocked in the same way. Now, obviously, your question was about balance, right? How do you get balance? What I find is that balance is a very subjective thing, but it's also something that is not necessarily something that can be achieved all at the same time. You have seasons where you need to focus on different stuff. So I find that by working out what I really want, what's most important in the season right now, and then making sure that I deliver to that, has allowed me to, first and foremost, achieve what I want to achieve in life, but also give myself permission not to necessarily think that I have to be doing everything at any one time. And that key word there is permission, because a lot of the time as entrepreneurs, we feel we have to be doing everything all the time, but actually slowing down to speed up is one of the most important things that we need to learn. I hope that helps. This is Nick.
Thank you. It helps. It's just, for me, it's just more of understanding, multitasking and knowing that I can't do everything at one time. But just trying to find that balance. I guess it's more of a structure. Like, if there's somebody that can tell me if there's a particular app or something that you can use that kind of helps you, or, any information like that, that would be great.
Hi, this is James here. I've got some stuff for you. Just trying to find your name. Is it Grace?
Yes, Grace Amazing.
Hi, darling.
Trademark name.
Yes, hi, Grace. Some of the panel know me here. I'm a busy business owner. I've got multiple businesses like you. I'm just going to get in away from the road. One of the things that I think, if you've got multiple businesses, the second you can afford it, get yourself a PA or a secretary to manage your diary so you can get more stuff done. Secondly, and I've done this with James Burt, who worked with me for a while, I get a gold photo frame and I write down the 50 things that I really want to achieve in the year, and I've got it on my desk. Whenever I get those blurry moments in my brain, I just look at that gold frame and go, right, yeah, they're the salient points that I want to crack on through this year. And thirdly, I think what's really important to say is you're a human being. I'm a human being. I've got a ton of stuff, a big business, but sometimes I just don't run at 100% peak performance. But here's the thing. When you're doing very important, not urgent tasks, you'll know you're doing good stuff, because that's what really accelerates the growth of a business. And that's me. I'm James Sinclair, blue background, passionate about helping entrepreneurs.